Music just does something to you in the morning. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just gotta listen to the right thing at the right time. Your day is gonna start out amazing. Welcome back to another video. So this is my first full week at job number one. This is the people that had the long hiring process. Today I am having a sales training with some of my newer reps, or the newer reps that the company has brought on recently. I've been given clearance to record some of it because I'm going to be building out training programs potentially, and some of the things that I will be learning right now would be helpful. So I'm about to go walk in and set up, and we'll get to it. My name's Eric Gravely. We obviously met earlier in the week. I'll tell you a little bit about my background, and I haven't mentioned what some of my goals are, but I was going to mention those as well. So I've been in sales for about 12 years. I started as a door-to-door salesman for an alarm company called Vivint. I moved over to selling their solar product, and then after that, I got into inside sales, selling over the phone to senior citizens. I was in the Medicare space. Okay. So I did that for about 4 years. Then I left Humana, which is who I worked for, to work for a smaller brokerage. I was promoted as a sales trainer over there. So I was in sales training for about a year. Then I was promoted again into a sales manager, and I've been in management for about 6-7 years now. What's going on as far as what's keeping you from closing so we can get you on the right path? So what is it that you feel is keeping you from
just the competition out there? I went out with a lady, quoted her windows for aluminum. And it came to like, even with giving my like max discount on my commission, I would only make maybe $100. The competitor was still $3,000-$4,000 cheaper than us. And you can talk about value, you can talk about we do a better install, reviews. And when you got $4,000 on the table, it's different. Most people are willing to take that chance. And it's hard to compete against that. Obviously, being you, not all still learning. I'm learning every day. Just right, need more, probably some more training with how to handle objections. Like I said, like I've gotten the product knowledge, and I'm done with the tape measure text. Well, I need some help with sales. Sharpen my sales skills. That's probably what I need more with now.
Morning.
Like I said, we had a little bit of training from Jeff. I had a little bit.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
I went to the other office.
Yeah, he told me no worries.
Kevin helped me a little bit. They're dealing with people who actually have money. They're dealing with people who want it. They understand if they're calling, hey, I want to replace 5-6 windows. I feel like those people have a general idea that it's going to cost money. They understand what the price is versus, hey, I need this one window fixed. Oh, we only do replacements? Okay, how long does it take? 8 weeks, $2,000, and these people are like average people, and it's harder for them to take out money just for a window or a door, So I feel like one window, one doors are harder to do just based on those facts. And I don't know. I mean, I'm not, like I said, I work as hard as I can. I don't think I'm the best salesman, but I'm always learning. I don't know. I've been relying a lot on Kevin, but Kevin, has a business to run, so he can't always help me. So I think and Jeff, like when you reach out to Jeff, he's in Canada, and sometimes he, doesn't respond as quickly as I need, or it's just easier to go somewhere they're already in the office. So maybe you coming in here, maybe you can be that leader that I need, when I do need help, but also you have the sales, but you also need the product, so you're not, you can probably help me with the sales, but you can't help me with the product, but you don't know it yet. I don't know what else.
Well, he's gonna probably help with the psychology of
Right.
sales, but then we have other people that have the product, so you just, regardless, depending on what you need is where you lean.
Yeah.
So let me fill you in, Tyler, before I continue, because I want to touch on some of the things that you said. So, objection handling. You
Yeah.
said objections are some things that you need assistance with, right?
Right, yeah.
So like I was telling you before, I think objections, we open ourselves up to objections based on the way we go about our process. So do you have a process that you follow? Is there a structure to it?
Well, I mean, I come in, I usually, once I walk in, introduce myself, and then usually I ask them, how did you hear about us? And then from there I ask them, well, what brings me in today? And then they usually tell me their problem. And then I explain them what they want, what we offer, whatever they ask. But this one last lady I went to Land Lakes, she cut all that down. She sat me down at the table right away and she started hammering with questions. And I feel like she knew the questions, but she wanted to see if I was gonna lie to her. So I told her every question, answered on me. Well, I want a few more quotes. And I say, well, I encourage that, but you're bringing in more people, you're a busy person, you want more people to come to your house. And depending on what they say from there, I don't push it. Because Shadow's the top seller. She doesn't push people.
You mentioned order taking.
So her customers were repeat customers. From what I've seen was order taking. I didn't sit there and hear, I wasn't there when she did her follow-ups. So I don't know how she's handling this. I don't know, I haven't seen it. From what I've seen is they trust her, they like her, she's already recommended, or she's a follow-up customer. She explains it, and then she writes it down. She's like, okay, I'll get back to you. She doesn't try to push.
That's probably why she doesn't have a high on the spot close.
I feel like Justin might have a high spot, but it seems like Justin, Matthew.
They know what questions to ask.
The questions to ask,
sure.
like I don't, I'm not a pushy. I'm a nice person. I don't know, what questions.
But you don't have to. So this is you guys again. You're going to learn a lot about the way that I go about my business. To me, sales is not about convincing someone to buy anything. That's not what sales is. And so if we find ourselves in that situation where we're trying to convince someone to get what we're pushing, we're going to see a lot of resistance. To me, sales is about fixing problems. So number one, when you go in, what's your discovery like? Are you trying to identify the problems that this person has? Are you trying to understand why it's a problem? Are you trying to understand, what is getting new windows going to do for their home? What are their goals for their home? Right? Are they looking at their home as an asset that they're trying to eventually sell? Are they looking at is there a repair? Is there something that happened to the window? Is it an old window that they need? Do they feel unsafe because of it? Is it increasing their energy bills? Is it costing them money? We want to identify problems that they're going through, and then if we can understand their problems, then we can emotionally tie them down to the product, and then selling becomes a lot easier. I would have to go on a ride along with you to really understand your process. But for what it sounds like, you don't have much of a structure to it. It doesn't sound like you spend a ton of time with discovery or understanding the client's problems. You ask maybe some surface level questions, you get them to tell you what their problem is, but it doesn't really sound like you go into much rapport. It doesn't really sound like you get a chance to really understand who that client is. And I could be wrong. I haven't done a ride along with you, but I'm just going by what you're telling me. The other thing is I would ask, how much control, you mentioned the lady just sat you right down. How much control of the conversation do you have? Where
in that particular, I've never had that happen, and she seemed very, she's accountant, and she wanted it her way. So I didn't want to, so I sat there and answered all the questions.
Sure.
So never had that.
Maybe in that situation, maybe you didn't have the control that you might typically have, right?
Yeah.
But, I think there are more advanced ways to kind of go about it where you understand people's personality types and how to best sell those types of people. But from a more basic perspective, sales is about fixing problems. So what I would encourage, let's start doing the work a little bit earlier. Let's get a better understanding of the client and their problems and why they may be experiencing them, why they need some windows or looking into it. Because again, they called in or they they filled out a form for this to become a lead. We're not just cold reaching out to anybody. So we have to keep that in perspective.
Well, a lot of the leads I've gotten, I was like, how'd you hear about us? Oh, I saw the ad on Facebook.
Perfect.
So that's not something them reaching out. They just saw an advertisement.
They did reach out. We wouldn't be contacting them if they didn't do that.
Yeah.
So they saw an ad on Facebook. Oh, what attracted you to that?
Yeah.
Is there anything going on with your Windows right now? That's Windows is not something that ordinary people just go and happen to call a phone number, submit a information on a form or anything like on the internet if they didn't experience it. They're not in the market for it. We just need to understand why they're in the market for it, what's going on, what's their urgency, like what's the timetable of you getting some of your windows, right? When you have is it something that you want to do immediately, or is it something that you're thinking way down the line? Because now you might, after you understand that, now you might not go into it trying to close them immediately if they're not urgent about it within the next 3 to 6 months. But if they are, now the process now you can kind of implement some of these different tactics, like being more assumptive on the phone, on the conversation. Justin has something really good about asking questions for them to say yes more often, right? That's something that you can implement in your process. Tailoring what you say so that it gives them more ownership. Say, hey, your windows are going to go like this in this. Like, you want to give them more ownership of the product that they're eventually going to be buying. Because the more often that you can put them in that frame of mind that this is going to be theirs and how they see it, then they're going to be more inclined to buy. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, I also think in the beginning.
But when it comes to objections, because you're going to get objections, even if you hit everything. If you do all your work early, you may still get objections, right? There are different frameworks that you can use. For one, I like to agree and acknowledge what they're saying, right? So if what's an objection that you get? They want to think about it?
I want to get a few more quotes. I got scheduled.
Absolutely. Listen, I wouldn't, if you're in the market for this is an expensive product, you'd be silly not to get more quotes, right? I'm curious, is there anything that you're particularly looking for from getting some of these other quotes? Is it, maybe a different price? Is it, quality of the product? Like, what would you say is
She said, I asked her, is it about price? She's like, no, we always want 3 quotes. That's always what we've been doing. So I didn't want to push it from there.
So again, acknowledge what they're saying.
Yeah.
Kind of give like a logical statement or question to kind of understand and isolate what the real objection is. Like I said before, most times it's not always going to be that first objection that they give you is the real objection. So sometimes you need to isolate what it is. Like, so listen, everything that we went over today, just remove the price off the table. If you could just look at this and go by what we've talked about today, does this seem like a product that would work for your family for the long run? Right, something that's going to be of quality, it's not going to be damaged easily and things like that. Would you agree with that's where we are right now? Typically, if you've done a good job with presenting, then yeah, they're going to say this is a good price. Okay, so we know that the product's good. So typically, if the product's good, it usually comes down to the price or the urgency of actually getting the install. Which would you say kind of falls in for you? And so if it is the actual install, so maybe there, you could give Kevin but you have to kind of isolate what the real objection is first by asking questions, and then once you've isolated that, kind of use logic or negotiation to see if you can actually work out some sort of deal or some sort of agreement with the client, and then see what you can do on the back end. But I think reached out to me. I was approached by a recruiter for this position, and what I was told is that they were looking for somebody that can come in that has a good handle on the sales process. Someone that's experienced in sales, but is also very experienced at coaching and developing salespeople. In my opinion, of keeping the reps that I bring in or that I'm tasked with leading, I'm typically good at helping them make money, which when you make money, you typically stay in the role that you're in. And so those are some of my hallmarks. So I'm very excited to get after it with you guys. I'm very excited to help where I can, and then also continue to learn, not just from you guys, but from the people that I've been working with this week. So
I see that far.
all right, cool. So all right, how many of you guys look at the sales process as a funnel?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So a couple things come to mind when you guys are saying, you know, they're not willing to give you the price or kind of keeping that to themselves, whatever the case may be, right? You got top of funnel, middle of funnel, and bottom. Bottom of funnel people are going to be people that are ready to buy right now. They've done enough of their research. They know a good deal when they see one. They're going to be people that are going to be ready to buy now. How often are you guys running into people that are bottom of funnel, that are ready to buy right
Very
now?
small percentage.
5%.
I think half of my sales
Half of your sales.
were buy now, and I think the other half is buy later.
Okay. So if somebody is top of funnel, that's somebody who might be seeing our ad or filling out this information, inquiring about it for the first time, maybe the second time. They may not be ready to buy right now.
Yeah.
So the goal isn't to try to talk somebody that's not ready to buy now into buying right now. You're going to be net resistant. You're going to be seen as just the same type of salesperson they probably ran into from buying a car, getting a new washing machine, shopping for a refrigerator. We don't want to be that type of person, which is why when you mentioned Misty might do a really good job of identifying that very early on, so she's not pushing. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Middle of funnel. We may have a good amount of people middle of funnel. They're not ready to enroll or sign up right now, but they're close enough where they've done a little bit of research and they're trying to identify who's going to be the best price, who might have the best customer service, who might be able to do the quickest install, make sure that it's of quality. So those type of people, 2 no's in a go, 3 no's in a go, where you attempt to close 1, 2, maybe 3, third final time, but you set that good callback or you set that follow up, and then those are the type of people that you want to nurture. Don't ever get upset at somebody that's at the top of the funnel where they're still trying to work out what all is going on in this realm. A lot of people, I was talking to somebody earlier this week, and one of the things that they said was people are smarter these days. And it's from a consumer standpoint, that's very, very true. I'm not saying that people don't. But from a consumer standpoint, they are. They're going to do more research. They have the internet. They have AI at their disposal. So they're going to make sure that if somebody's going to spend upwards of $5,000, $10,000, even $20,000 or $30,000 on products to keep their home secure, or keep their home energy efficient, or make sure that they're developing their asset to eventually be sold as their house, then they're going to want to make sure that they're measuring 10 times and cutting 1 time. When they make that check, when they sign that check, or they write it and they hand that thing over, they want to make sure they have peace of mind that what their money is going to be good for their home for the long run. So that was why I wanted to talk about the top of funnel situation. But I think if we go into every appointment expecting to sell, we're going to get frustrated when that time to close comes.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So the way I always coach it, sales is a result. Sales is a result of you identifying what your client's needs are, and then making sure that you build value into why our product is a good fit for what they need. If we do a really good job of just execution during the process, closing becomes much easier. We're not chasing people down. You're asking the questions. Like, we want to identify where these people are in their journey of shopping, and if they're top of funnel, asking if they have done any price quotes, and they're not, reluctant. They're more reluctant to give it to you. Not a problem. Hey, listen, you don't have to share the price with me. I've been doing this long enough to kind of know what some of the prices of our competitors are. For 1 window, 1 door, you're looking at anywhere from $2,500 to $6,000, right? That's pretty much what you've been seeing. Am I right? Build that authority within yourself. Number one, that you've been doing this for a while and you know the lay of the land, and then you want to build trust. I think a lot of the time we get objections because people don't trust us, and so they're a lot more willing to keep things close to the chest. So we want to disarm people, which is where the rapport comes in. We want to make sure that we're doing a good job of understanding what their opportunities are, what their problems that they need fixing are, and why those things might be problems, what fixing it would actually do for their mentality, what fixing it would do for their home in general, with the people that they love that are going to be living in this space. And then again, when we go to closing, it becomes a lot easier because now we're not trying to chase them down. We want to make sure this makes sense for them as well as it makes sense for us, right? Which will keep you from discounting too much to where you're not making any money. Having a structure or framework is something that's going to be really, really helpful as you move forward. So, yes, sir.
So based on that, if you can identify a customer right off their top funnel, majority of the time, or is it better just not try to close that deal, kind of follow up with that customer, or you still try to close them?
You can go about it one of two ways. I think you can attempt to close them,
Yeah.
just not be pushy.
Okay.
Or you can altogether not attempt and like, hey, listen, I know we just went through a lot of information. I'm sure you have to do your research, eliminating an objection before it has a chance to be used against you. I'm sure you have people that you want to talk to. I'm sure you want to see other quotes, right? So here, take my card, and I'll tell you what, I'll follow up with you at the end of the week. I'll give you an opportunity to talk to your loved one, make sure this is a good decision for you guys, and also give you a chance to look at some more quotes. We'll reconvene, we'll talk about what you saw, and if this still makes sense, we can talk about moving forward. Does that make sense for you?
I like that. That's a good.
Perfect. So, again, you can go about two ways. You can attempt to close them. Once, just don't be pushy. Or you can attempt not to close them at all. Try to beat some of those objections before it has a chance to get used against you. And now you build credibility in yourself because you're not thirsty for the sale. A lot of times we don't get sales because we seem too eager for the client, and that's a red flag. That throws their defense up immediately. Yeah. So, questions?
No, I feel like, just to touch on what he said, I feel like, you know, the customers inquiring us, and then when we come there and we go over everything with them and we build that rapport, I think we've earned the right to ask for the business.
Sure.
And if they say no, or they're in the top of that funnel, then at that point you'll know what type of temperature they're at, and you can just go accordingly from there.
100%.
So when it comes to,
I come from the world of question-based stuff. So you use questions as your ammunition, right? There's a common saying where I come from is people are going to tell you, they're going to give you the keys to close them. You just have to ask enough questions and the right questions. I used to be a door-to-door salesman where nobody knew anything about alarms if it wasn't ADT, right? Or ADP, whatever it's called. I think it's ADT. So Vivint was based in Utah. So I was in Long Island, New York. Nobody in New York knows about Utah, right? All they know is the sign on front with the orange placard, right? That's because it gets people to what's that? Like it stands out. But if you haven't seen one of those stickers, you don't have the benefit of people knowing the brand. So you have to typically build value in one, maybe two or three things: the product itself, the company that you work for, or yourself. You guys don't have to really worry about building value in the company because the company has a strong brand recognition. That's something that you should use as an asset. It's something that you should use as an asset. So real quick, have you guys heard of a technique called top-down selling before? So this is something that I used to use with alarms, but it makes more sense with you guys because you can actually discount. Top-down selling is a process to where you give I'm not saying astronomical, but a very high price for the job, and then you discount it to make it more digestible.
yeah,
To where the customer's more like, oh, you're giving me a deal, and I'm saving. Like it increases the urgency for them to get in at that moment. When I'm talking about price, for one, you want to make sure that you build value to its peak before you even start talking about price. That's my opinion. So once you identify that this product would make sense for this person, and they've agreed that this product would make sense, now we can get into the price. So, I would ask things like, have you done any quotes, or what are some ranges that you've been given? And then, okay, so usually on average, what you'll see, man, is for your set or your product on average, this will cost maybe about $10,000. Just use a round number, right? Now, our competitors in the market right now, they'll charge anywhere from 9 to 11, right? What we're going to charge is $10,000. Now, because I've liked you and we've had a really good conversation so far, and I really feel like you benefit from this product, I feel really good about giving you something I don't really give out to people, which is our discounted pricing. So instead of paying $10,000, what I can do is give you 20%, I'd take $20,000. I said 10,000 is a round number. I can take $2,000 off and and this probably be $8,000 for you. And in order to move forward, we would need a 50% deposit, which would be $4,000. How does that sound? So now they feel like they've gotten a discount. They feel good about, instead of having to pay $10,000 and what some of your competitors in the field might be offering. Now they can be like, oh, $8,000, I don't have to pay $4 right now and then $4 later. Sure, let's do it. But it's a technique that you can use in your tool belt in those situations.
I do.